Hello, Dustin.
What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. How are you?
If you could, would you?
No. Why? Why would I do it?
Nah. No good, right?
I don't complain. I vent. There's a difference. Yeah.
Okay.
Venting is to relieve. Complaining is to bask in your loathing.
That's very wise.
This is what I've learned, right? Because there are people that I work with that are very much complainers, and they're not fun to be around.
No.
So venters, I can deal with a venter all day, but complainers, I don't like those. No, man.
It's good on you for putting it into practice, because that's one of those things where, like, everybody knows complaining doesn't do anything, doesn't help.
Yeah, right.
But everyone's like, well, it helps me because I feel like what you really needed was to express that in a healthy way, or just
sure,
accept it and move on. I wrote a it's funny. I'm not doing this on purpose, but this is sort of like an essay I wrote, Dustin.
Okay.
We're gonna cross promote today.
Okay.
I wrote an essay, and if you'd like to read them, you can. There's links in the show notes if you want to check out the stuff I write. But I wrote one in June, and I titled it "It's Never Going to Stop." And the whole premise of that whole essay was about the relentlessness of life's ability to throw problems at you, and how it's a waste of time to go through life sort of expecting that you'll eventually like get yourself out of the woods, because inevitably you'll be back in the woods somehow, either all the time or eventually again.
Sure.
Something new will present itself as an obstacle to you, and you'll be like, damn it, now I'm back in the woods, and you're going to be stuck in that victim mindset until you emerge, until you get knocked back out in again, or if you never escape. And I wrote it not to preach, because I struggle with this. When things are not as I would like them to be, I'm very much like I'll get through this, and one day it won't be that way anymore. But I've been like getting through this for 10 years. So
sure.
So anyway, just to piggyback on what we were talking about, it's interesting you brought that up, because I've been thinking a lot about that lately, and it's important.
It's important. I think that you're right. Like the mentality of one day this will all be over, probably is not the right mindset. But the right mindset might be, at least for me, all I can speak is for me. The right mindset isn't one day this will all be over, but instead one day these types of problems will be just a blip on the radar, right? So I'll learn from this, move on, and next time it won't bother me as bad, and the next time it won't bother me as bad, and the next time after that it won't bother me as bad, till eventually when a similar issue arises, a similar size issue arises, hopefully it's just barely a blip, and you're just like, oh cool, done that a million times, here we go, let's go. And it's not like arrogance, but it's a confidence that like, look, I've been through a lot of things and I've conquered them, not always gracefully, but I'm still here, so they've been conquered, and so therefore I'll conquer this one too, and so I think you're right on the money with that.
I know that for me at least, like, it's been helpful to be instructed in the approach of like, you just got to look at everything that's happening to you as some opportunity to like practice virtue, or some opportunity to get better at something. A good example for that a lot of people might be able to relate to is like, wow, when you have a new baby, like the whole not sleeping thing really sucks.
Yeah, sure.
The middle of the night feedings and the random wake ups, like that really sucks. But if you look, if to go to extremes, if instead of looking at it like, I can't believe I can't believe I'm waking up again, instead just look at it as like, well, I'll just, that's cool. I can just practice, my ability to get up and do, or such and such thing.
But it's really freaking hard. And it seems like for me, at least, the hardest thing is the sleep thing. Yeah. So it's like I don't know. I'm maybe a little bit obsessive over the way that I sleep, which is weird because I'm also a night owl who continuously sabotages myself.
Delays your sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm a little bit obsessive about it. Like, okay, I got 6 hours last night and looks like I'm tracking for 5 tonight or 7 tonight. That's a good night. 6 is a great night, And so like I'm constantly, sabotaging myself and then obsessing over it at the same time. And so those nights where it's like, okay, I'm up again and this is the third time I've been up in the middle of the night, I just started to be like, the night is ruined and my sleep is awful. And it doesn't even matter if I go back to sleep for 2 more hours because what's the point, you know? And it's like that sort of thing. So yeah, that's the hardest thing, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you just get through it. It's just perseverance. And then eventually you have a decent night and then you're like, okay, well, that's cool. I'll take it when I can get it. I guess it's sort of like, anybody who struggles with like depression or anxiety or whatever, like one of the things is, when you have a good day, cherish it. You know what I mean? Like, don't let it give you like a false hope that like, oh, I'm out of the woods, I'll never deal with this again. Right. But at the same time, cherish that moment of like, hey, today was a good day. Yeah. Right. I didn't feel those feelings. And so it's super, super tough, but I do think it's like a mindset thing. Like you can distance yourself from it for a second, like look at it objectively as if it's not happening to you, but it's happening to somebody else and say like, okay, look, it sucks. We're not sleeping, whatever. But eventually I will sleep. Eventually I will sleep again. And yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah. Did you just fart?
I did. Did you hear it?
I did.
What the fuck?
In the middle of my model. Are you a mute farter?
No,
Did we just discover that you're a mute farter?
Well, oh, that's what it is. It's built in.
And your mute didn't work?
No, it's the built-in. Well, Dustin, you know what happened? You know what happened? The mixer wasn't like plugged in when I turned my computer on, and I was like trying to get it to connect to like QuickTime. And Skype wasn't even open. I thought it would just auto connect. You know what's crazy? Like I just got over the fear that you would hear me doing that, and then like the first day I was like, nah, we're good.
That's fine. There it is. So. Have you ever seen that video? If not, I'll have to try to find it and send it to you. It's like a class, they're on Zoom. It's 2020 or whatever, so it's quarantine. Have you seen this? And like a guy farts in the class, and you know how Zoom puts the camera on whoever's speaking at the time? The camera puts the camera spotlights him right after the fart, and you just see his face of shame.
Oh, that's great.
I'll have to find it.
I've seen some real bad ones. I've seen like some where people did not realize they were
on camera,
and there's people like you could see people like freaking out like, oh no,
Yep.
Or verbally like, hey, Daniel, you're on camera, Daniel. And then like the teacher, I can't remember what I saw. Maybe this is like an amalgam of them, but I think there's one where the teacher's like, everyone just log out. Everyone just get off. Or something like everyone end the call. Just end the call.
Yeah. Yep. That's funny.
Wow. All right. Well, that's a perfect way to cap off wisdom with a fart.
You're a mute farter. We all know it now.
I wish I were a mute farter. Good Lord. Today's been one of those days. Speaking of mute farting, let's talk about Barbie.
What's the connection there?
This is the best day ever.
It is the best day ever. So is yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now until forever. Do you guys ever think about dying? What do I have to do?
You have to go to the real world. You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe. The choice is now yours.
The first one, the high heel.
You have to want to know, okay? Do it again.
Closer I am to find. Closer I am to find.
I'm coming with you.
Okay.
Wow, this is the real world. What's going on? Why are these men looking at me?
Yeah, they're also staring at me.
We haven't played with Barbie since we were like 5 years old.
Oh.
No one rests until this doll is back in a box.
Even if nobody else sings along.
Humans only have one ending.
Get that Barbie!
Ideas live forever.
No, I won't let you do just one appendectomy.
But I'm a man.
But not a doctor.
Can I talk to a doctor?
You are talking to a doctor.
I need a clicky pen?
No.
A sharp thing?
No.
There he is. Doctor!
Somebody get security.
There's not even a fart joke in this film, actually.
Oh, how about that? Good for Barbie.
Good for Barbie. I know. You're right, because as like the first comedy in like 20 years or whatever this is, you would think that they would have snuck a fart joke in there, but Greta Gerwig said, no, thanks.
No, that's fine.
Barbie is co-written and directed by Greta Gerwig, co-written by Noah Baumbach, her partner, and it stars, as people probably know, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, America Ferrera, Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae, Rhea Perlman's in this film. Will Ferrell is in this film. So this movie, this episode is going to come out in the first Friday in August. So this film has been out for 2 weeks at this point. We're not recording it that far away. So I can only tell you that as of this recording, the opening weekend has happened and it's made $382 million worldwide. And that's against a $128 to $145 million budget. And so you might think like, well, that's a pretty big budget for a comedy. I guarantee you that at least half of that was marketing.
Sure.
This film was cleverly but aggressively marketed. I think that was money well spent because the movie won the weekend. I mean, it unseated Mission Impossible. Obviously it was always gonna earn more than Oppenheimer. It's a PG-13 comedy versus an R-rated 3-hour movie about the atomic bomb.
Yep.
As you probably know, if you've seen any marketing promotions for this, it's a film about Barbie, about stereotypical Barbie, the doll, played by Margot Robbie, and Ken is as a supporting character here, played by Ryan Gosling. And they live in Barbie Land, and Barbie Land is this, basically this other dimension kind of a thing. And there's a whole society full of Barbies, and then the other half is all these Kens, and it's a matriarchal like utopia. So the Barbies all have like really important jobs, and the Kens just kind of like hang out and are there. And Barbie starts to experience existential dread amidst all of this, and she's not sure why. And it's not a thing that usually happens in Barbie Land. They're like, you have to go see Weird Barbie and figure out what's going on. And so Weird Barbie is Kate McKinnon with all like the face drawings and the weird haircut. God, she's so good in this movie. Kate McKinnon's so funny.
If you're casting a Weird Barbie,
God, Kate McKinnon was so good. Anyway, so Weird Barbie's like, you got to go to the real world, find the person who's playing with you, and figure out, and it's in the big like plot exposition scene. Kate McKinnon essentially tells the audience like, don't worry too much about this. It's like, how do I get to Barbie world? She's like, it's best if you don't think about it. And but you have to go find the human that's playing with you and figure out why they're transferring their thoughts onto you, basically. So there's an implied connection between the human real world and the world of the Barbies and Kens. So Ken tags along, and they have some adventures. And I don't want to say too much more about the plot, but Barbie, I really enjoyed this. The reason I saw this is because I said after Mission Impossible, I'm only going to see one more film in theaters this year, and it's going to be Dune Part 2. And then my wife said, hey, I got invited to go to the movies with friends from work. feel free to include me on stuff like this, like as a +1, just so we can do more. Cause these people came to our house to play games and stuff. So I was like, well, and she said, I don't know, you really want to see Barbie? I was like, I'd love to see Barbie. So anyway, we ended up getting tickets. These people, we all went together. It was like 8 of us. I wore the only pink shirt I own, which is a shirt I wore to my brother's wedding. We saw this at a regular AMC in town, not the Nexus. And I really enjoyed it. There were so many people there. The theater was packed. We saw it on a Friday night, and there's people dressed up all over the place. There's more little kids in there than I think was appropriate, but that became apparent, I suppose, for those people. The audience really responded to this. The film is laugh out loud, full of jokes. It's really a good time. I think what people, and again, if you watch the trailer, you know that this is sort of part of what they're doing here, but like, there's a whole lot of like, we're going to talk about womanhood. Like, we're going to examine this through this cultural icon that is Barbie, the positives of a doll like this, the negatives that are perceived from her, all of it. We're going to talk about patriarchy. We're going to talk about, sexism. We're going to lean really hard into, some feminism. And so it doesn't surprise me that a lot of people who may or may not have seen this movie are upset that it exists. I think you and I we talked about this so much on the show lately, but like, using the word woke is not valid criticism of a film. That is an ideology that you are using to twist a film to boost beliefs you already have. Has nothing to do with artistic expression or telling a story. Anyway, I think so. I gave it a star rating. I was surprised. I was like, I think I'd give it 4.5 stars. The film is really, really heavy allegory. So like, anything that some people perceive to be on the nose, to me, that's just the film. The film is just, we're very plainly talking about issues in this. And so there's a plot and everything, but since it's a comedy, we're sort of allowed to be a little in your face with what we're talking about. We don't have to layer it so much in drama to where it has to be like super subtle. And some people saw that as just like a big old female shaped lesson. But to me, it's like, no, that's proper use of this genre. If you're going to make a comedy that's actually about something, it makes it easier to sort of put that stuff to the forefront. I don't want to say too much more. I really want people to see it. If you're listening and you're on the fence, or you're not, I recommend seeing it in a theater. This is one of those things that is, I would say, is brilliant. And I think that whether you're watching it on streaming one day on your own, or if you're in a theater full of people, you're probably going to get more out of it if you see it with a crowd. But be warned, like, it's not for kids. I've seen a lot of people asking, like, can I take my 7 or 8-year-old to this? And it's like, I mean, it's not like the movie's not bawdy, but like, you may not understand what this is. And I really think that people need to be told these days, like, there are some movies that aren't for kids. Like, these are the same people who were like, I'm going to take my 6-year-old to see Deadpool. Yeah. It's like, yeah, just because it's a comic book film doesn't mean it's for children. Right. This is a PG-13 film. We say the word vagina a couple of times. We're addressing complex social dynamics that are going to go over kids' heads. Not that it's inappropriate. It's just like, a kid's not going to know what's going on after a while. Sure. Not going to be able to follow the plot. It's not
so much that it's explicit, it's that it's too complex.
No, this is a very, like, for a comedy especially, I couldn't find like a single raunchy joke in here. Like, this is extremely, like, I would have felt comfortable taking my daughter to this, but my daughter's very well read, and I wouldn't take her now because there's still plenty that she just can't understand. But I wouldn't feel like worried that she's going to see something inappropriate, I wrote a thing on Facebook. I was just compelled to write a thing. And so I said in that what I've mostly said here, but like, I said that if the film has any faults, It's that the screenplay seems like it feels obligated to do something with the story world, like of Barbie Land, having to pay off what kind of things can change Barbie Land, because they come back to Barbie Land later and it's very different. And it's been affected by Ken's experiences in the real world and kind of seeing how much power men have in the real world versus kind of the second class status of Ken's and Barbie Land. I'm not hung up on that really. It's just that some things happen in the movie that are not really on story when it comes to the theme. It sort of just feels like they're like trying to sort of do housekeeping on the plot. And after a while, you're just like, you guys, you don't have to do this. Like you already sort of established, like, it's not important, the physics of how we get to the real world. We're on some, 2D set rowing a boat, like rowing a fake boat, like we're doing a play. Like, I'm not going to go like, well, how many miles is it from Barbie Land to Los Angeles? Like it's not important. So you don't have to tidy up that sort of thing and take up time. But that being said, the film's only 2 hours long. It's not over long or anything. Anyway, I think it's just I really enjoyed Barbie. I mean, I would recommend people see it. And I think that it's one of those films that sometimes when these come out and then there are certain groups of people who reflexively hate it, that sort of tells me like, yeah, this was necessary. It was a necessary artistic statement. It's good for the culture. It's good for Greta Gerwig. It's good for women. It's good for men to see this. And I also think that given its box office performance, it's good for the industry. It's really good for the industry that these two films, but specifically this one we're talking about, did so well. And it's not like a superhero film or an Expendables movie.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. I had basically no interest in this movie. I'll tell you this. It's despite the fact that I really like Greta Gerwig. Lady Bird was one of my favorite films of that year and remains one of my favorite movies. So I do like Greta Gerwig, and her involvement only was like, well, I mean, I guess if I had to see it, it would just be for that, but I really have no interest in this.
Right.
But then let me tell you what piqued my interest more than anything. I saw that Ben Shapiro went to see this and evidently didn't like it.
Yes.
And then I thought, I kind of want to see this now. You can say what you will about Ben Shapiro, but the guy and I have very different taste in movies.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
To say.
I'm not sure who has the same taste in movies as him.
It seems like he doesn't like movies.
I know. That is the thing, right? Like he with as much as he complains about everything, he must not like. And that's another thing I said. Like if you don't want to see a film where people are gonna tell a story and give a point of view and try to hold up a mirror to society like this, like you probably don't like movies.
Sure. Yeah, so that piqued my interest more than anything, but I don't know. I mean, I suppose I'll check it out at some point. Like there's definitely a part of me, I'm guilty of this. When there is a controversy, it makes me want to go see the film just so I can have an opinion about it.
Right.
Like right now, if somebody's like, well, Barbie, let's talk about Barbie. I'll be like, look, all I can say is like, I guess if somebody handed me the reins of Barbie and said, write a film, I wouldn't have gone that direction, but I'm also not a woman. So I wouldn't have gone that direction. That's as articulate as I can be about this film because I have not seen it. I don't know anything about it. So anytime there's a controversy, I know someone's going to ask me, hey, did you see Barbie? What did you think? And I'm going to be like, I don't know. I have no opinion. It just is. I've heard some things. That's all I know. Can't even talk about it.
Right.
So that's where I am. I don't know. Maybe I'll see it eventually. My wife had no interest in it, and then gradually she's had more interest in it. So I don't know if we will end up seeing it, or if it's one that we'll wait for, rental or streaming. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, man.
I really liked my opinion to settle on stuff. I really try that when I have that same impulse to see it, to be able to weigh in. I know that for me, that's like a bad impulse. And so I usually go, as soon as I think like, oh, I need to have a take on this, like I really quickly go, no, I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep.
I don't need to.
Doesn't matter.
No thanks. I'm like Jerry Seinfeld with Kesha. Like, no, thank you. No thanks.
No, thank you.
I really hate the woke argument against certain movies. I really hate that what is an objectively fair movie. It's weird because like if you're, it really depends on who you are, because like if you are like a right-leaning guy, you're not going to want to go see Barbie because you might view the film as an attack on you. And your complicity in the way that the world currently works and treats women. If you're a left-leaning guy, you might, depending on whether or not like you feel immense guilt for being a man, or if you just feel like just plainly that there should be more justice for women, you see the film as a very necessary message that people should see and would easily digest within a narrative format of a movie versus some YouTube speech that someone sends you from the Women's March. It's much more palatable to watch a film where there's jokes and there's laughter and everyone gets to laugh. And the film is ultimately just about how beautiful womanhood is. And has, I think, fair critiques about corporate culture and the double standards of the genders in the workplace and stuff like that. Like stuff that I think that the substantive argument against Barbie by a not moron is that it is too plain, like it is too obvious. It's too it's not subtle, maybe. And that's fine. And I don't think that Greta Gerwig would say that the movie is like, no, it's super subtle. I think that it's just a comedy. I think that it's been so long since we've seen one that people are like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. Right.
Why is everything so bright and plain and on the surface? And it's just the genre. It's just the genre, and it happens to have something to say, which is what a film is. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I recommend people see Barbie. I do. I'm going to say that right now. And it doesn't make me some kind of weird cuck or whatever you want to call it, you know, like that I approve of this film. I don't have male guilt. I don't have
a woke snowflake.
Yeah, I'm not a snowflake. I'm not trying to grow the podcast audience specifically from women. I'm just calling it like I see it. And I saw, I saw a good movie. So that's what I'm going to say. That's Barbie. So
that's a very helpful or a very healthy way of viewing film, because if you go into movies assuming the worst of them and assuming that they're all just trying to attack you, and which a certain person we've already named does, it feels like, you know, that everything's an attack, then you're not open to actually hearing a good story. And maybe it makes me dumb, or maybe it makes me naive, or maybe it makes me just kind of like surface level. But I would much rather just go see a movie and be swept up in a good story and have that good story challenge me in some way because it's a good story.
Yes.
Than just assume like the story is garbage because I don't like the theme. Because there are plenty of movies that maybe I disagree with the theme or disagree with like the mentality behind it, but would fully admit they're good films, right? Because film is a story, and stories, you know, like if we go back to childhood, we're told stories that give us a moral lesson or give us some sort of a worldview that it shapes us because we're invited into a specific character story, and that character is a paragon for whatever message we're trying to get across to the reader, to the audience, to the whatever. I think if you just go in assuming that everyone hates you, that's unhealthy, because at that point you're not open to what the film has to say. You're not open to hearing a perspective that you don't know. In the case of this film, again, I don't know, but if you go in assuming the worst, then you'll never understand what a woman is trying to tell you about the way she views the world. And whether you agree with that or not, whether you think it's actual or not, the case is, and if I'm in a healthy relationship with my wife and she tells me, you've made me feel insignificant.
You're describing my MO, Dustin.
I've made her feel a particular feeling.
Right.
And that was unintentional and clearly against what I tried to do. When I bring out that logbook, it's like, let me show you the things I tried to show you, right? But it didn't come across. Yeah. And at that point, it doesn't matter. So it does not matter to me if I believe, oh, the patriarchy is to blame for, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. All that matters is a person is expressing themselves and saying, I feel this way. Now the onus is on me to say, okay, in my brain, I can say, look, I don't think I've done anything to contribute to this feeling. However, now I'm going to make a change in order to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Because in a relationship, and I would say this extends beyond your marital relationship, but to people at large. Yeah. You know, you're the people you are in community with, the people that you are around daily. You have a responsibility to say, look, I will now, because you've told me that, I will do everything in my power to make sure that I'm not contributing to it, right? And I've recognized the problem. Even if I don't agree that I contributed to it in the past, well, now I'm certainly not going to contribute to it, right? And like that's the way that the world gets better. But if you're closed off and you say, I didn't do anything wrong, right? Then nothing changes. Yeah. Somebody says, I'm hurt by you, and you say, well, I did nothing wrong. Then what changed? What got better? Right? So it's the same way with film. If you go into this saying, the patriarchy's done nothing wrong. Right. Okay. Well, it's made me feel this way. That's what I'm expressing to you. Right. So go into films feeling like open to being challenged and open to hearing the story of this avatar for, you know, the feelings of the writer and director. And yeah, man, I don't know. I think that's healthy.
And there were people who were saying the dissenting reviews were saying like the movie promotes like reverse sexism, you know, like let's subjugate men. It's like, guys, it's Barbie land. It's not like it's like and the kids are not subjugated. They just kind of hang out and do stuff. Like that's the whole thing. Sure. So it's great. There's both not enough thought about the movie and then too much thought. Yes. I want to read someone's letterbox too, because I looked at reviews after I got out of the film, and I especially liked this person. Her name is Zoe Rose Bryant. I don't know if she's a reviewer or just a user of the platform, but I thought it encapsulated pretty well. And there's no spoilers in here. And I just from one woman's perspective, she said, we all knew Barbie was going to be funny. We all knew it would have something to say about the female coming of age, as all of Greta Gerwig's movies have thus far. And we all knew Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling would turn in perfect performances as Barbie and Ken, and they did. What I didn't know was how much Barbie would mean, and not truly, not fully, how much it would mean to me, to the women sitting to my left and right, to all of us. The depth and breadth of its central message was something I couldn't have ever anticipated, despite having the utmost faith in Greta Gerwig at every twist and turn. And even though I'd been looking forward to this film for years, it hit me right when I needed it most. A movie about growing up and realizing womanhood isn't all pink, pleasure, and possibility, realizing that much of the world will hate you always, no matter what you do, simply because of who you are, realizing that there comes a point when you either have to accept complacency within the patriarchy or ostracization and vilification outside of it. Or maybe there's another way. Maybe womanhood isn't all the fun and freedom we dreamed up in our youth, but maybe we don't have to abandon it entirely either. Maybe once we accept and begrudgingly embrace the often brutal reality of our everyday existence, while still retaining our inner strength at the same time, we can better reconcile all these cultural complications and contradictions and find a way to move through the world cautiously but authentically, reveling in our and the world's flaws instead of willfully overlooking them in favor of the fantasy at long last. I learned these lessons a little late because I started living as a woman a little late. In fact, I still have some learning to do, and sometimes that scares me, but movies like this, art like this, make that education just a little bit easier. So thank you, Barbie. You're everything, and so am I. I thought that was nice. And, again, like the movie's for everybody, but it's really nice for women to have a film that makes them feel as seen as a lot of people I've been reading have felt. Because I think that women just in general have been kind of misunderstood or done a disservice from film. So much of film is not concerned with them at all, or it actively does negative, goes in the wrong direction, portraying them and their life experience. And so for a movie to come along where they go, yes, thank you, someone, like, yeah, that's not harmful. So, yeah. Okay. That's it. Cool. All right. Go see Barbie, everybody. Especially you again, Ben Shapiro.
See it 17 more times.
I hope they make 5 sequels. Okay.